minor details.
And roll call, please.
Mr. Cooney?
Here.
Dr. Corleone?
Here.
Mr. Grau?
Here.
Dr. King? Dr. Modrak?
Here.
Mr. Morello? Mrs. Milby? Mr. O'Brien?
Here.
Mr. Palmer?
Here.
Genevieve Lake?
Here.
And Jay Surratt. Quorum present? Yeah, thank you.
Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance Jim's suffering with a laryngitis, so I'm going to read the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law statement. The New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interests is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of the Act, the Montville Township Board of Education approved this meeting date. Notice of the meeting has been posted at the Montville Municipal Building, all Montville Public Schools, the Montville Public Library, the Montville Township Board of Education Administrative Office Building, the Montville Public School website, and advertised in the Daily Record. Jim, that is good to you. What we got? Okay, we have a high school representative. Feel free, Genevieve.
Today, tonight is forensics parents meeting. For sports, field hockey improved their record to be 8-4, and they are playing in the third round of Habits today against number 1 seed. I'm waiting to hear the results of that. The girls soccer team won their first game last week, as well as the freshman football team. Nearly every one of our fall sports teams has a win under their belt. The tennis team beat Tenafly in the state sectional quarterfinals yesterday, and will be playing the number 1 seed Fairlawn in the semifinal. The team has high expectations by our school, as they were last year's state champions. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and to go along with that, the football team will be hosting a pink out, and the volleyball team will be hosting a big pink game next Friday to raise funds for cancer research. For the clubs, the forensics team is gearing up for their second national tournament of the season, as they will compete at the New York Invitational from October 17th to 19th. The tournament will help the team further its Tournament of Champions qualifiers for later in the season. As of now, Claire Sullivan, James Burnett, and Noah Weinblatt are qualified to the University of Kentucky Tournament of Champions round robin, which will be held in April. Chase Surratt is qualified to the Northwestern Tournament of Champions in May. The team is hosting a parent center today. The Video Game Academy, which started this year, has had stellar turnouts every meeting. They have already begun to develop new video game ideas. A fashion club is in the early stages of becoming an established club in the school. The FOR Club, the Friends of Rachel Club, is the newest club at the high school and already has 80 members. Following yesterday's assembly, the club was trained on how to promote kindness in our school. Initiatives have already been proposed, such as Kindness Students of the Month and a student advisory group, which will talk to students that would like to talk about problems they may be experiencing. Last week was Spirit Week at the high school, which was fun filled for both students and faculty. Each day was a different dress-up day. We had Movie Star Monday, Montville Day, Town Day, Decades Day, in which each student dressed up to a different decade, and color wars, in which each grade wore a different color. The senior class won the Spirit Week competition. This was the first year that the class of 2015 won. The week culminated in our annual fall pep rally, which was a huge hit. As I touched upon before, yesterday Rachel's challenge occurred at the high school. It was unbelievable. Nearly every student was impacted by Rachel's story, and hundreds have accepted her challenge to be kind to one another. Students walked down the presentations with their heads up and smiling. During the rest of the day, students talked with people that they are not best friends with, opened doors for one another, and overall attempted to act kinder towards each other. I I know many of our board members attend last night's community presentation, which also the annual, speaking about the future, the annual homecoming dance will be at the high school later this month. The dance should be exciting as we have a full DJ and photo station that have already been booked. Students are very excited. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. What did you think of Rachel's challenge?
It impacted me very much. I thought it was very powerful and it just changed the way I thought about everyone in the school. I know I may have looked at someone and immediately judged them, and yesterday just made me realize that's a horrible thing to do. You shouldn't judge people based on what you initially see in something else.
Thank you for sharing that.
I was there also, and I was extremely moved by it, and I know it had a significant impact on kids on the high school, apparently, especially because, the old fogies my age, we actually remember when it actually happened. For a lot of kids your age, I think this is something that really, not even really put on their radar. It's a historical event that probably not much meaning until we actually saw the ramifications of the road. So I was really glad to see it, and decided to get kids up just in one day since it happened. That's really incredible.
Yeah, there's another meeting tomorrow for the club, and a lot of people also signed up to come to one. So that's great.
Thank you, Jenny. If you want to go home and do your homework, feel free. If you want to go home and do your homework, feel free. Or just hang out. Superintendent's report.
Good evening, everyone. Just one comment about Rachel's challenge. There were a variety of, I'll call them sponsors, that helped make it possible, and I see two of our parent leaders sitting toward the left of the room. And thank you for being involved in helping make that possible, along with all the other people who contributed to the program. We appreciate that. This evening I'll be presenting our Board of Education and district goals. Before I walk over there to begin to do that, each year we, as a Board of Education and school district, create annual goals, and I report on those goals throughout the year. And the goals are created typically in the summer at a meeting or retreat, as we call it, with the central office administration of the Board of Education. We look very carefully at the issues that have come to us throughout the preceding year, and areas we want to bring light to, initiatives that we're excited about, and through a decision-making process, a brainstorming, problem-solving process, make decisions about which goals to highlight. So tonight I'll be sharing that, and certainly following this meeting, posting the goals on our website. So with that being said, perhaps the board would like to take a seat in the audience, because we'll be projecting something behind you. I have a copy for the board before we take it. Right? Okay, so what has been the practice in the past and will continue this year is that I like to break our Board of Education district goals into 4 different categories. Student learning being first and clearly the most important. We then move into communications, into human resources, and into business practices. The goals are not totally inclusive. There are many, many other areas in the district that we work on throughout the year. So although it may not be a stated goal, it doesn't mean it doesn't get attention and that there's not a focus on it. So our first one is about 2 programs that have been in existence. The first one, the Original Science Research Program, is in its 3rd year, and our Humanities Research Program in its 2nd year. And this goal has to do with expanding those programs so that more students have access. In terms of the Science Research Program, we now have a full complement of students involved in that program. It's a 3-year program. So now we have sophomores, juniors, and seniors. They are taught in 3 different sections by 2 teachers. Those sections are mixed with sophomores, juniors, and seniors in all 3 of those sections so that the older students act as mentors to the younger students. At our next Board of Education meeting, is that October 21st?
Yes.
The Science Research Program students will be making a short presentation to the Board of Education and community. So if you're interested in learning more, please be there to attend that. In the short time the program's been in existence, I think we've exceeded my expectations in terms of the progress we've made, both through our classroom environment at the high school as well as through the competitions that some of our students have already been engaged in. The Science Research Program, or the Humanities Research Program, began as our supervisor of humanities, David Tubbs, took a close look at the Science Research Program in its 1st year and wondered how that might be extended to a more student-centered approach in the area of social studies and English, which are the 2 content areas he oversees. And he found 2 interested teachers, one English, one social studies, who took on this project to bring a more student-centered, student-engaged approach to the humanities. So last year was the 1st year of that program. It took place in 5 social studies and 5 English classrooms, using the same curriculum and content that the students in the other classes had, except using a different approach, which again was more student-led and student-centered. This year, that program is getting from 10 classrooms to 30. And of course, if we just do the math, 30 classrooms, approximately 25 students in each classroom, we have about 750, I think there is, students involved in that program, so a good number of students in the high school. And there's no doubt in my mind that we will see that program expand and probably find some roots ultimately in the middle school and in other classrooms as well. From my own perspective, the most exciting thing about this program is that it is getting lots of attention by teachers in the departments, in other schools, and it's all part of a sense of student engagement that everyone hears me talk about all the time. So that's our first goal, and we do see this program expanding as well. Our second goal has to do with the district mathematics program. And we do want to focus our attention on that program. This year in grades 6 through 12, we have new mathematics materials that are being implemented in our schools, so from the middle school through the high school. Last year, we implemented a kindergarten through grade 5 new mathematics program. This has been a program, the math program, I should say, where we believe that our students should be achieving at higher levels. It's been a program where parents have brought concerns to me over the time I've been in the district. And so so it is a program that we are looking at very carefully, that we have brought some additional attention to. And Sandy Schwartz, who's our supervisor of math and science and business, is working very closely with the mathematics staff at the middle school and high school doing professional development. And it really is our goal to see increased student achievement in those areas. Our high school media center has needed attention physically as well as instructionally for many, many years. And over the last 2 years, I'm very pleased to say and thankful that the Board of Education, understanding that need as well, has been budgeting money for a capital reserve. Am I mentioning that? Is that the right term, James? Well, it's not the right, Mr. Grau, is that the right term? Capital reserve account? Capital reserve account, the right term for where we...
Yes, $1 million.
So over 2 years, we put $1 million into that account to prepare for the renovation of the high school media center. At this evening board meeting, through a process that involved parents, teachers, administrators, in interviewing a number of architectural firms, then bringing 2 choices before the Finance and Facilities Committee. Ultimately, an architectural firm was chosen. Tonight, SSP, architectural firm, will be approved, we hope, by the Board of Education to begin the project. They will be meeting with groups of students, groups of parents, community members, to get ideas and input as to what that design should look like, and then be sharing their design thoughts with us as well. And ultimately, we hope to break ground at the end of this June. And we do know that the building project will probably take between 3 and 4 months. And we'll probably start the next school year at the high school without the media center. But in speaking to the high school administration, they would rather keep the library in operation through the end of the spring, when it's the busiest, and they can, in helping, in getting it ready, keep it closed for a month and a half or so. So we open a brand new media center, hopefully sometime next October. So that's the goal, and we're very excited about it. We think it's going to bring a whole new dimension to our high school, and we're very pleased that we do this direction. So that's our there. The World Language Program has been on my radar since I arrived at the district. At that time, we had there was no requirement that our students take a world language at the middle school. It was optional. We've now moved to where our 8th graders do take a year of world language. I know that Lisa Howard, our supervisor of world language and ESL, is interested in looking further at our middle school model. I know world language has always been a big interest in Sharon Carr, who was our supervisor of world languages before becoming an assistant principal and principal. So this is an area we want to continue to look at. We want to make sure that there's good coordination between our middle school and high school. We want to make sure that that the program for level 1 in 8th grade is identical to the level 1 program in grade 9. And we also want to make sure that the Rosetta Stone program, which is in our elementary schools, is working properly, and that the technology is working. By all accounts, this year we're off to a much better start than years prior, and we're continuing to monitor that carefully. So there is a lot of work to do with world language. In a few minutes, we'll tie this world language effort to a different part of our goals. That's what I'm saying. Continuing, professional development is a strong interest of ours because along with student engagement, we want effective teachers. And we get effective teachers through the growth of our teachers, the learning, and so we of course have an emphasis on that. There are many, many initiatives that have come to all school districts in New Jersey rather recently, including Common Core Curriculum, PARC assessments, the new teacher evaluation system, which helps us support teachers. So again, professional development is a very big interest of ours. And this year, for the first time, we piloted the program last year, but the PARC assessments are with us this year, and that affects our children in actually grades 3 through 11, grades 3 through 5 in math and language arts, 6 through 8 in math and language arts. If your child is an 8th grader taking Algebra 1, they will take the Algebra 1 PARC test. If they're an 8th grader not taking Algebra 1, but taking 8th grade math, there's a different math assessment. And then it affects our students in grades 9 through 11, most of them in Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, and in English 9, 10, and 11. Have that right, Andrea? Okay. So it affects a huge number of our students. We are prepared with the technology. Our technology department has been unbelievably effective with setting all of this up, and we should be quite ready. But of course, this is a big challenge for us as we approach March, which is our mid-year opportunity for the assessments, and then we have a spring opportunity in May. Area of special education is one that we have decided to highlight this year and have a true focus on. We want to make sure that our special education students are not only having their IEPs complied with, but we want to make sure that our programs are excellent. And so again, through the areas of professional development, through our special education content area teachers in the middle school and high school attending department meetings, depending on their co-teaching with English teachers or social studies teachers, making sure that they're attending those meetings, those department meetings, so that they are as expert and have the very best practices in those content areas, as well as attending the special education department meetings, so that they are able to modify curriculum, modify instruction to support our students. So we're looking not just at compliance, but at excellence in that area. And again, through professional development and other ways. And speaking of Rachel's challenge, which you learned a little bit about, the area of culture and climate in our schools has also been a strong interest of mine, and we have looked at issues in the district that we wanted to address, that have provided, from my perspective, unneeded stress for our students. And so areas such as homework was an area that we explored. We looked at class rank. A couple of years ago, we will be having a presentation in next month in November by the Youth Empowerment Alliance, which is a group of individuals sponsored by the United Way, who are going to bring a program to our attention and make a presentation before the Board of Education and Community. And this is a program that helps support our guidance counselors and takes a very close look at culture and climate within an organization and provides ways to make that climate and culture healthier. Already our guidance department, under the direction of Leslie Schechtman, our director of guidance, is working with them, and our counselors are familiar with them, and we want to see if they have something to offer us. So we're asking them to come make a presentation, but this again is an area of great interest for us. Under communications and community involvement, we've taken many steps in the past to increase our communication, and we want to continue to do that. And again, we want to thank our parent organizations as well as our own technology department for providing support so that we can reach out to our community and parents in a very effective way. So we did last year gain the support of the Board of Education to hire a district communications officer. Sue Marinello is her name, and Sue has provided us with, I think, a wonderful boost in the area of communications. So we want to better use her services to enhance our communications, particularly in the area of social media. That is an area, again, she has a very, very good handle on, and we want to increase our ability to reach our families, students through Facebook, through Twitter, and through those means. So using social media. We want to increase our own level of communication internally within the district, and also to really look at our website. So I've really asked from Sue and Austin Thompson, our technology manager, to look at our website and to see if we can in fact make that a better instrument for communication. The area of town meetings is something that we have had where our community can talk about, debate, communicate about particular topics that have come up, or really, and we've also done some which are wide open, where people can bring up any topic that's on their mind. This year we'll try to do a combination of both of those. And one area that we might actually look to talk about to a great extent is world language. Because if this is an area that we are looking to make modifications in, I know that it can have an effect on other content areas in our district, and so we do want parent and community input as we talk about that particular subject. And along with communications, we also want students to showcase the wonderful work that they're doing, and oftentimes we do Board of Education meetings as a way for that to happen. So as I said, on the October 21st meeting, we will be having our science research students here, and we'll continue to do that throughout the year. So in the area of human resources, what has been really a huge effort, and Dr. Casey Shorter is our assistant superintendent, who has primary responsibility for human resources in our district, has been our teacher and principal evaluation system. We continue to get guidance from the State Education Department about that program, and we have made many modifications to help support our administrators and their responsibility for the evaluations that they do for their teachers and other staff members in their buildings, as well as our supervisors, the work that they have to do. So we'll continue to provide professional development in that area and continue to monitor our staff evaluations in that area. The other thing that Casey does is works very closely with the District Policy Committee, the Board of Education Policy Committee, to refine and better our Board of Education policies. And finally, our business practices. I can't help but reflect back upon when I walked into the district, now here in my 5th year, to a school district which had just been devastated by the taking away of state funds, and then $1 million being removed from the district through the defeat of the budget, and many, many programs being taken away, many, many staff members being cut from the district to where we are now, where we in fact have a very flourishing and opportunities for implementations of new programs. So we've moved from a place where in fact it was very difficult to support even the most minimal of our programs to now where we have programs that are creative and innovative and where our students are thriving. That wouldn't happen without our business office, and Jim Tivis, our business administrator, who oversees luckily for me, gyms usually say, yes, we can afford it, as opposed to no, we can't. And so I'm very pleased about that. It gives us the opportunity to bring new programs into our district. That the budgeting process through all of that is very important. So we appreciate that a great deal. And certainly maintaining the financial and fiscal responsibility for that office is a very, very large responsibility. So that completes the presentation. As I said, the more complete picture of the goals will be on our website. And if the board would like to return to the table, we can be open for questions and then open up to the audience.
Thank you, Paul. As usual, you have put together a very ambitious list of goals, very thoughtfully, comprehensively, and I thank you for that. Good presentation. Does the board have any questions? Does anyone in the audience have any questions about the goals? Yeah. Is there a mic there? Yep.
Is that working?
Yep. Just your name and grade.
Diane Monaro, 17 Microsoft Washington.
Thank you.
I just have two questions for you. With regards to the objective regarding the math program, is there any consideration being given to creating a more integrated approach to math and science, or a STEM-focused curriculum where students are learning something in the math class and applying it in their science class so they can make the connection between the two?
And I'd ask if Andrea has any thoughts about this, but as of right now, we have not really discussed it in that type of way. I think it would be something that we would want to look at. I know that there are a lot of school districts that are throwing the word STEM around a great deal, and I think that we certainly have something to learn from districts that have perhaps really been successful. So it's something for us to think about. I'm assuming you think it's a good idea.
I do, and I think that the district has a lot of individual pieces of STEM, but we don't have it necessarily connected so that students really get the application of what they're learning. And that really is what makes a difference in how much they retain and understand if they can apply what they've learned in a math class to a project in a physics class or biology class or something like that, or even in a Java class. We have a lot of pieces, but we don't have the dots connected. And I think students are missing out on the connections, and that's what, prevents them from seeing the possibilities of a technology-related career.
Yeah, I understand. I think probably we're seeing a little bit more of it in our engineering classes and in the engineering club, where they're probably again using multiple disciplines to solve problems, and perhaps in the science research class as well. But on a widespread basis, I believe you're correct. It is something for us to consider and start thinking about.
Thank you. One other question for you on the media center. Again, another possibility of linking things together. We have a humanities research program, we've got a science research program. Are the needs of those programs being integrated into the redesign of the media center? Thinking there's got to be some linkages there that we need to consider. I don't know what they are, but is that are the people who run those programs being included in the media center redesign?
So, not specifically, but they certainly will have input. One of the things that is of great interest to us, of course, as we think about the design of the center is how can we, in fact, create areas within that environment where students have the opportunity for collaborative work, which really is what the science research program and the humanities research program thrive on, which is that collaboration using multiple kinds of technology, so devices where students can bring their own, use what's there. Devices are, as opposed to fixed on a table or more mobile, so students can gather around a couple of laptops in a pod, comfortable seating, places for students to work independently. So a combination of things that lend itself to that kind of environment of learning. But we'll certainly take what you're saying into account. I think it's worth asking those teachers what might benefit them.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Diane. Anyone else? Okay, I'll close the public for the discussion of goals. And move on to business administrative report, Mr. Tevis.
Thanks, Dr. Crowe. I apologize in advance because I have some laryngitis going through the cold when I'm getting over. Just want to brief the board and the public briefly on where we are as far as transportation operations. As noted 2 weeks ago at the last board meeting, we still had a few, identified about 4 to 5 chronically late routes are consistently probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 5, 7, 8 minutes late every day to the Lazar Middle School. We've made a lot of improvements, as I noted 2 weeks ago, over the last several years. It used to be where we had 12, 15 routes that were arriving at the school 10, 15 minutes after home or actually had run. So we've come a long way, but we still have to tighten it up just a little bit more. So we started making some changes again this week, try to tighten it up again a little bit further. One of the routes, for example, we did make a marked improvement. It was route number 21. That was this morning. Our arrival time went from an average of about 8:26 in the morning, where it was getting to the middle school. This morning, I understand Mrs. Carr pulled it at 8:16 for the bus line. That was route number 21. I do. Sorry. I have. So that's one marked improvement. We have about another 4 routes that we've identified that as we move through the rest of this week, I've given instructions to the bus manager over at First Student, because these routes are predominantly the First Student routes. Bus 18, for example, we need to tighten that one up. Bus 17 and bus 24. So again, I just want to thank everybody for their patience, and I understand it is a bit frustrating. I do get that, because it's been several years with some of these routes. It's been a chronic problem that they're just continuously pulling in 5 to 10 minutes later than the other buses. I just want to let you know that Tammy Coop, Transportation Coordinator, and myself, we do recognize it. And as I noted at the last meeting 2 weeks ago, I did take some steps last spring to try to rectify it for this September. The biggest step that I took was made a recommendation to the board, which they accepted, allowing me to pull 10 of those routes from First Student, which I did for performance, and put them out to bid in hopes of possibly getting another contractor. As it turned out, we only had 2 companies that actually submitted bids during that process, and as it turned out, First Student was a low bidder, so it is what it is. So what we're doing is we're now working with a new bus manager. First Student made that move, which is significant. And I have to tell you that I've met with the new bus manager twice now. She's a very, very seasoned transportation individual. She's worked in Morris County for well over 20 years. She's very well regarded. And she's already made some significant changes, and I've seen significant improvements in our routes as well. So again, I do appreciate the frustration. I want to let you know that we're not finished, and continuing to tighten these up as we move forward. I've actually notified the bus manager at First Student that if I don't see some improvements by the end of this week, in terms of these 4 to 5 chronically late buses, I will start to institute a late fines and penalties, which I did do last year. I don't want to have to do that because that's not fixing the problem. Fixing the problem is getting the buses to the Luzon Middle School Hall by our target time, business hours, of 8:20 in the morning. Now, it's 8:21, 8:22, okay, that's fine, that's close enough, but, they're pulling in at 8:26, 8:27, that's not acceptable. So, I just want to let you know that Tammy and I are working to rectify that. As I pointed out, we had one so far this morning that I understand went to 8:16, and I'll be tracking that very carefully, make sure that one continues, and I've been told that bus 18 is slated to be changed tomorrow morning. So we'll see how it goes towards the end. Are there any questions on the board? Mrs. Clark, would you mind taking a moment and addressing, I know in the issue, I had some questions 2 weeks ago about the afternoon dismissal, and I'm not really that familiar with that process. And also, with these chronic late buses, these 4 or 5 routes that we have remaining that are kind of late, again, I want to point out, when I say that they're late, they're not actually, they're arriving before the home of bell. Is that correct, Mrs. Carr? Okay, they're coming in at 8:26, 8:27, 8:28. Pretty much 8:25, 8:26, 8:27. Home is at 8:30, correct?
30 to 8:38.
To 8:38, and is anybody being marked late for any of those routes?
Any emails or any questions we had, we checked all the attendance sheets. Not one child has been tardy. In fact, some of the children have enough time to come in, report in, and even do their LNN broadcast report. So I checked with all the homeroom
Do you
teachers.
want to step up to the mic, maybe, Mrs. Carr? I'm sorry, just so everybody can hear you. Thank you.
Okay, I checked with all the homeroom teachers. Homeroom teachers are telling me they have all been in. Actually, one of the 8th grade teachers came in and said this is the best he's seen it in 2 years. That was just this morning. So we have spent a considerable amount of time. I know some of the moms that I spoke to, I'm sorry, I don't want to put my back to anybody, but some of the moms I spoke to, that we are looking at a late arrival as homeroom. I don't know what routes, I don't know streets, I know one way to get here and one way to get home. So I don't know where the buses, what the buses are doing, en route. But we are looking at children getting to homeroom for LNN in time, and they are. I wish I could tell you otherwise. They are getting there by 8:30, that gives them 8 minutes in homeroom, and then they'll reach those period 1. So I have run off, I have sent over logs, I've sent over attendance sheets. We can't find anything. I mean, we're looking for it, we're trying. I tell moms too, if anybody has a suggestion, follow the buses and let us know. Tammy, we speak to Tammy and Jim almost daily. John, actually, I don't, John Selly does that, but as far as we're concerned, our children, your children are getting to our building, I want to say on time. It's not Jim's time, it's not 8:20, but it is in time for homeroom, which is what we are looking for.
So it sounds like if I could even just squeeze another 4 or 5 minutes out of these probably what I'm identifying as my last remaining problem routes, that probably should, it was pretty comfortable.
I would say very comfortable, because when the children, even the early buses that come in, we let them come in, 6th graders and 7th graders go to the gymnasium, and they are separated there kind of in a holding pattern until homeroom begins. 8th graders all come to the cafeteria, and they sit in that holding pattern until teachers are in, teachers are signed in, homeroom typically, begins, or preparations for homeroom begins, and we will release them to their lockers starting at 8:20. Now, that does give some of the students that arrive a little bit earlier that opportunity to get to their lockers as the buses are coming in. And those children don't go into these holding places, they will go directly to their lockers. So even if the bus does get here at 8:10, 8:15, they're sitting here until we release them. So, and that's contractually the teachers being in homeroom, at that time. And we have 15 teachers on duty between the cafeteria, outside, the car lane, for people to drop their kids off. That's how I got the fur coat. I complained to my husband, it's too cold in the winter, I got the fur coat out of it. So we are out there every single day, and
I've seen you.
you've seen me in my fur coat, absolutely. Bus duty, I love bus duty. You will never hear me complain. But we have, teachers moving students along, and at the end of the day, if you could, actually, I'm glad it's in the cafeteria, you can see our walkers, R through Z, Medlock students, A through G walkers. I mean, we have signs all over. Every child that leaves this cafeteria and crosses to the rec center, attendance is taken. 5 teachers are in this building, 5 teachers outside, walkers coming in. It's so well covered. We just shuffle.
It's a very organized process. I mean, I've been here, I've seen it.
Yeah, I mean, we're really working hard. We want them home too, you know, but at 3:30, we want them on the way. I mean, I don't mean that
No, I
negatively,
understand.
certainly.
If you could just very quickly, we just address the afternoon, because I know I've had a question that was raised at the last board meeting regarding dismissal.
Okay, that we hold all of the buses until they're all full. No, we actually, we don't.
Okay. You could-
You know, and we don't. As the buses are coming in, we don't hold children under 3:15. Everybody is dismissed at the bell. And if we're missing, sometimes, John, maybe 5 buses might be.
It's average 4 or 5.
4 or 5 buses may not be in line in front of the school, and we also have 5 extra buses on the side of the school. So we might be missing 4 to 5 buses. But by the time almost 1,000 students go to their lockers and get outside, those buses are coming in. So even if we were missing 1 or 2, by the time those buses are loaded, they leave. These other buses have already pulled in. The kids are loading, and they actually catch up to the buses that can't get out on Changebridge. So are we holding them? You know, you can't get out on Changebridge. That's what's holding them up. It's really not, you know, and if a bus is going to be 10 or 15 minutes late, we get that where one of us comes in and we try to do an instant alert as quickly as we can. And without a doubt, the second we do an instant alert, the bus pulls in. So
I can appreciate that frustration. I mean, I know that instant alert is something I know I just have to be administrative staff about 2 years ago. They dropped a memorandum on it. And I believe, you know, I know the middle schools are doing it as best as they can. You know, especially, you know, if there's a bus breakdown, but you know, sometimes we don't find out to let you know. Like you said, by the time we do, and then 5 minutes later the bus pulls in. But again, I think if we try to do the instant alert as much as possible, I think it's probably better here on that side. I think that's been helpful, and I appreciate you doing that.
And actually, we haven't had, you know, the buses coming in the afternoon. The one bus, and it was way back the first day, it didn't come till rather late. They are never left alone. We stay with them. I would never ever leave children on the bus.
I definitely appreciate that.
Without that, I just would not ever do that. So that's not ever an issue. Most of the children call their parents. They, you know, they use the cell phone to get their parents. Parents will pick up this. So we kind of have to have that issue. But certainly, if there is one, I always welcome parents to let me know, because if we can do it better, I absolutely will do that.
I thank you very much, Mrs. Carter. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Purcell.
See you tomorrow morning.
I would be happy.
Rain or shine.
Thank you, Mrs. Clark. Jim, anything else? Are there any committee reports, finance, facilities?
We had a meeting. We had a meeting, as Dr. Freed mentioned last Wednesday, when we looked at the architects that are recommended by the committee for the high school renovation project. And I believe the action recommended by the administration is item K9 on the agenda tonight. Dr. Freed mentioned one of his goals, a little overview of what the next process would be. And I'm sure that you'll be reading more about that either on the website or wonderful reporters here. Thank you.
I think we had a CIT report last meeting, is that right? Policy and personnel, right?
Meeting the 14th.
Delegate liaison and JSBA. There's a delegate assembly November 15th, and I'll be attending for Frank. There was a Morris County School Board's meeting on the 30th. It was a legislative meeting. We had a number of legislators attend, Senator Ignacio, Senator Luco, Assemblywoman Myla J.C., Senatorman Weber, Luco, and Keene. Heard about a program called the AP Challenge, and all in all, it was a very Zach, Mike?
Yeah, they met at 7:30 tonight, and I missed them because I was here.
Sorry about that. Mike Mustang, I know you weren't able to make the last meeting. Are there any PTC liaison reports?
Same as Mike Mason is meeting tonight at 7:30, so he couldn't make that. But they are having a marathon, I read, maybe you guys can help me out, Casey, or something. I read it in the newspaper, I read it on the calendar also, national, like that. They're having a 5K marathon.
Yeah.
Something like that. Can one of you guys know me? You know when it is?
The 18th.
18th? Okay, so if anyone's interested in supporting Mason, just give them a high school, I mean, Mason School Principal report. They can tell you how much you donate, what it's at.
I'm amazed about the report that you had that in your memory. Oh.
Casey, was that the right day you just made it up?
Okay, I'll open it
Eric,
up.
actually, I attended the Woodmont PTA meeting last week, and they've done a series of videos that are on YouTube designed to promote the culture and the atmosphere of that school, and you can find it. They're just really fun to watch.
Thanks, Mike. All right, any other PTC liaison reports? I'll open it up to the public for comments on items on the agenda. Okay, in that case, close public participation and motion for items J to O.
So moved.
Charlie? Second, Mike? Are there any questions on item J? Okay. Well, M, those members attending workshop, be sure to abstain on your item. And I don't think we have N and M, right? Okay. Roll call, please.
Mr. Grau?
Yes on everything except M1, number 11, where I stand.
Mr. Palmer?
Yes.
Dr. Modrak?
Yes.
Mr. O'Brien?
Aye.
Dr. Corvino?
Yes, except abstain on M1, number 9.
Motion passed.
Oh, Dr. Koenig.
Oh, I'm sorry. You don't have 5 votes yet. I'm sorry, Mr. Cooney. I do apologize. Mr. Cooney.
Yes on everything, abstain on M12.
M1, 12.
Thank you.
Any old business or additional reports? General board comments? Okay, I'll open it up to the public for anything you'd like to speak about. So,
Yes, good evening. Dr. Freed, members of the board, thanks for a few minutes. A couple quick things.
oh, I'm sorry, just state your name and where you
Oh, yeah, my name is Dean Trafari. I'm a resident of Montville, 1985, proud graduate of Montville High School.
Good for you.
And I'm here today with Rex Lecter, who's also a father of a football player at Montville High School. He's a freshman football player, his son. My son is a sophomore football player at Montville. Recently, our children wear a different football helmet than the actual helmet that the high school football team issues. We purchased the helmet ourselves. We had it reconditioned with a stamp, the 2014 stamp on the helmet. And we were told this week by the athletic director that the players were not allowed to wear the helmet at this time. We were told that if we had a problem, an issue with that, we would go to the Board of Education and address the board with the issue. I have a lot of information about the helmet. We've done a lot of research. I'm speaking for both of us. We've done a lot of research in the helmet. Our child safety, we feel, is paramount. And the helmet that we feel that if the high school issues is just not up to our standards. We were told that the helmet that there were some issues with not so much the helmet, but the reconditioning issue that the athletic director did not have the paperwork that he needed to allow the athlete to wear the helmet. So we basically are just asking if we can just have permission, it's halfway through the season, that the players have trained the entire year with the helmet, if they can just continue to wear the helmet for the rest of the season. Like I said, that we paid for the paint, we painted the color of the high school team, and it's been approved through NACA standards. Well, I'm trying to think. One second. Anyway. So that's basically, we were just wondering if the board can make a decision on the athletes wearing the helmet, because we don't have a lot of time to, we couldn't wait for the next meeting. We need to know as soon as possible about it.
You can imagine that the Board of Education's primary interest is the safety of our students, particularly students involved in a collision sport like football.
Right.
We did discuss it. We have been advised through our attorney of some issues, which I will allow him to speak to. But, and I don't know that we can address your particular situation, but the board felt it important enough, if there are differing opinions out there as to the safety of wearing helmets, we want to be sure we want to be sure that our students are afforded every opportunity to have a safety helmet available. So we asked the administration to do some, to follow up, do some research. We would also invite you to speak to, share your research with the athletic director and the high school principal, Mr. Pignatello and Mr. Sanford. Regarding the restrictions and the legal entanglements that the board could find itself if we do not abide by the concept that students, athletes need to be wearing the equipment that is issued to them by the school district. We're going to let our attorney, Mr. Butchman, address that for a few minutes.
Can I just say one thing about the comments, Mr. President? The helmet that we've done a lot of research as far as helmet. I'm sure I can stand up here for an hour and talk about the helmet, the safety issue, the technology, the way it was designed, the difference of the two helmets. The problem is our children are comfortable wearing this helmet. They're not comfortable wearing the other helmet. So that's why as parents, I understand you guys are looking more as a lawsuit or this pending litigation. We're looking as it's our children's safety. We're not asking for the board to change all the helmets at the high school. We are asking for our children to be allowed to wear this helmet for our child's safety. I'm not questioning if whatever decision they want to make about whatever helmet, it's fine. Every school district in New Jersey allows players to wear other helmets that their parents file. My son attended another high school last year. He was allowed to wear the helmet as long as I provided to have the thing reconditioned. It has to have a reconditioned sticker on the helmet. There's no current policy in Montville Township that says a player cannot wear another helmet other than the issued helmet by Montville Township. There's no policy in effect. So to have an attorney, have your house counsel address it, I'll answer his question. But at this time, there is no current policy. So for him to effectively tell me that my child can't wear the helmet, I don't think it's appropriate.
Well, from my position, legal advice trumps any policy, but I'm going to allow this.
I would, okay. Thank you.
Is this on? Okay. I don't really have questions per se, and I can't get into everything because then I, in essence, would be divulging attorney-client privilege of what advice has been given. However, certainly the board, through administration, has made the determination for the selection of specific helmets. And of course, I would, I think it's safe to say, and I'm sure you realize that the board and the administration made that determination, of course, with the safety of the children in mind. Now, while I understand that you've done research on your own to suggest that these possible helmets that you two have both chosen and reconditioned are safer, again, that's a research issue that both of you have undertaken. If the board were to allow parents to pick their own helmets and just to say, well, this is safer, or my son or daughter, whomever is more comfortable in that helmet, that would in essence open up Pandora's box, for lack of better terms, especially in the legal aspect and in the legal world, because then we now have various issues, various helmets, and it's enormous oversight with that. The board has already made a determination through administration of what helmets are safe. They do meet standards, and certainly that decision as it now stands is not arbitrary, capricious, or unreasonable.
Yeah, the standards for you, the standards for yourself, the standards for my child are different. And that's why I've chosen a different helmet. You haven't done the research that needs to be done on the helmet, because if you did, it would be clear that this helmet is superior. 168 current NFL players are wearing the helmet, the same exact technology helmet that's worn in the high school level here at Montville with our two children. 168 current NFL players are wearing it. There are zero NFL football players wearing the technology helmet that you put on a football player at Montville High School. There's zero with that same technology on the football field here at Montville. There's zero in the NFL with that same technology.
Next question, what helmet are you proposing?
I'm talking about the Zenith helmet. The Zenith helmet, if you just do the research of the helmet, you will see it's clear. The gentleman who invented the helmet was a graduate of Markham High School, attended Harvard University as a medical doctor. He came up with the technology. It's far and away better than what you have on your players here at the high school.
Yes, Charlie.
I think being too, though, the superintendent was asked, effective tomorrow, to look into this, to check with the athletic department, coach, also any information that you can share with them that you haven't already would be appreciated. Let me finish.
I appreciate it.
And I think we all want the same thing. But right now, we have to ask the administration to do their job. We cannot vote here as a board, put in option A, helmet B, helmet C. I know you can appreciate that.
Yes, absolutely.
So we've asked the administration, and we do know time is of the essence. We can't come back in December and say, oh yeah, okay, we're.
Exactly.
So I have confidence in the superintendent that he will research this problem and get back to us within a few days to find out exactly what it is, Dean. And I think that's being reasonable.
That is
to get to today.
But what's the current policy now that
I don't know of any
council?
policy. I agree with you. I don't know of any policy that says you can't.
Here's for example, what helmet is your hockey team, your hockey players wearing? Council, you know?
It's not his job to know, it's the
Okay,
administration.
no, I'm just asking, I'm not trying to make it seem like he doesn't know.
Right, but it's the administration's
No.
job to know.
Well,
And
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, the hockey players wear whatever helmet the parents decided is the best safety helmet for their child. So how can it be effective from the hockey team, not on the football team?
good point.
Okay?
That's what he's looking into.
Like I said, you know, it comes down to my son's safety. That's what I need to be concerned about. I would love to have Zenith helmets on every player here in town. I purchased it myself, $350, and had it reconditioned. I don't have to stay with Mr. Levitt. We purchased these helmets because of the safety of it. And our child is comfortable wearing them. And they're trained, we're 4 games, this is the 5th game of the season coming up. Now they're told they can't wear it halfway through the season. And I know there's some issues about the reconditioning. I spoke to Mr. Pignatello, and he said about the reconditioning needs to be sent out with the batch. That's for next year. We didn't have that opportunity. Neither one of the students were in the school last year, so we didn't have that opportunity. Now we have the opportunity for next year going forward. That would be another issue. But right now, this season, we didn't have that opportunity. The kids are just asking to wear the helmet that they've been comfortable with. And I think as a parent, we're obligated to come here today and express our views about the helmet. You know, I thank you for your time on this, but like I said, we really need a decision.
I
as soon as possible.
appreciate you coming.
Be in touch with you.
Thank you.
See him after the meeting, maybe.
Thank you.
You're retired.
I have no idea.
I would like to just weigh in on this.
Yeah.
I think I'm just speaking as an individual, not speaking on behalf of the board. I know that both of you come from families where football runs deep in your blood.
Yes.
So we're not talking about opposites here now. I think as parents, you always want what's best for your child. And I don't know if there's been any, and while we have a helmet that I know that we found is safe, I'm not sure that means that there's a finding that that's the only helmet that's safe. So I do trust the administration is going to look into this very quickly, but it would be my hope that unless something comes up that says that for some reason they don't think this helmet is safe, hopefully it will come again. My gut feeling is to say that I think deference should be given to the parents of the child to do what's best for their child. Again, this isn't anything final. I know there has to be some investigation, but I'm sure the administration will do it. And if at all possible, I hope it can be even done in time for Friday's game. That's just my opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Baumann. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you won't look at it. Mr. Fari?
Yes.
While the board does its investigation, we could consider having our attorney draw a waiver.
Yeah.
So why don't you and Mr. Leclerc get in touch with central office at some point over the next day or so? And we'll see how we can look at that.
Thank you. We'd be more than happy to do that. I'm sorry. Anything you draw up from. Thank you.
Yes? Right?
So just to, if I could comment for a second, I just want to assure you that Mr. Tafari, that in the discussion of this, the safety of every student is paramount to all the board members. And we want to do the research. So can I, Madam President, can I assume then that we're fast tracking the research that we asked for to be done in part?
Yeah, I think
We're fast tracking that
That's
as much
clear,
as
I
possible.
think, our discussion out here.
Okay. But you have to realize how concerned we were about this issue of safety of the students, especially if I might say so.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. O'Brien. I appreciate that. And we have the specs here on the helmet, the Virginia Tech helmet study, all the different data on the helmet. We can provide anything like that that the board may need. I can assist them in any way.
Well, that would be good if you work with the
Yeah.
athletic director
Yes,
and
work with the
much good
athletic
could come out of
director
this.
and the high school principal.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I can assure you I know as much about a football helmet
None. Thank you.
Scott Van Coppen, 14 Boulder Road, also co-president of the Mustang Association. And I come tonight because I see at the high school that the turf project is winding down and it looks beautiful. And I was just wondering, since it wasn't on the agenda, if you can give me an idea of some of the items that were cut out of the budget with regards to the turf project. And the reason why I bring it up is as the Mustang co-president, and as the Mustang Association, you know, we try to fund athletic programs and we try to fund athletic needs at the high school. And what I'm finding more and more is that things are getting cut out of budgets and we're being asked to fund bigger and bigger ticket items. And some of those items I would consider necessities and also capital budget items for the Board of Education. So again, as the project winds down, my understanding is that initially there were soccer goals in there and they were taken out. There was outfield fencing at the baseball field, between the baseball and softball field, temporary fencing that would be used that would be taken out. And there was also, I guess, the need for some new bleachers. And as an organization with a very limited budget, who's trying to do scholarships and spend their money wisely across the entire athletic student body, it's very difficult to be asked to fund for a set of bleachers at $7,000 or an outfield fence that ranges anywhere from $5,000 to $12,000 when not only does my organization not have it, but when you get into that dollar range, that's your responsibility, not ours. So if you did a field for $1.5 million, I'd like to know how much of your own money you put in over and above that.
Well, just let me comment. I hope you're not being asked by anybody to fund anything, and if you are, I think it's not proper. If there is something that the Board of Education funds, we should be aware of it through the administration. So I actually hope that that's not happening, but I would like to turn it over to our business administrator, our superintendent, for more
And understand,
direct
it's not
answers
someone
to your
asking us
question.
directly for the funds, they're putting it on a wish list. And to me, when you have a brand new varsity field and a brand new softball field, and we have a need for a set of bleachers, whether it wound up on my wish list or it's on the athletic board's cut list, to me, you can't have a beautiful field without people being able to sit there and watch it. So we try to accommodate. Sometimes we can offer up some funds for certain projects. But again, I have a very difficult time as one person on this board spending a significant amount of money on any given budgetary item like so that we can do our outfit safety fence.
So let me make a couple of comments, just to keep things in perspective. As I said earlier, this is my 5th year here, and I'll recall with a lot of clarity that during my first year here, a board member who's retired from the board at this point told me horror stories about our football field, about ruts, about sprinklers that were sticking out of the ground. And now when we look at other fields, we probably can find this complex in the county within 3 short years. So I think the Board of Education has paid an exceptional amount of attention to our athletic facilities, proudly and with good reason. The project for the fields was never meant to include taxpayer dollars. Now that doesn't mean that future additions won't include taxpayer dollars, but it wasn't budgeted for this year to include that. Now, we do know that some things are essential, like the home run fences for both girls softball and boys baseball. So in one way or another, that will be provided, and I don't believe that the Board of Education had any intention of looking for fundraising to accomplish that. And as Dr. Corlino pointed out, it perhaps wasn't appropriate if you were approached for those funds. Because I think we have shown that when it comes to the welfare of our students, we do provide not just the essential things, but certainly, again, state-of-the-art facility at this point. We could have simply, I guess, done a little bit better job of taking care of the baseball field, but instead, again, we have something that will proudly serve our students. The bleachers may not appear this year. Maybe they'll appear next year if they're necessary. We have a budget process that we go through. And we do understand that people need a place to sit. But I also know that probably most of the parents who will be attending those games have those chairs in their car that they use when their kids are on travel teams every weekend. So if we don't get to that immediately because it's $7,000, and that doesn't mean we won't, but we certainly can budget for that for the future.
When you say year, can you just clarify, is it calendar year or budget year? Because I don't think they run the same.
No, it's not a calendar year. For us, the year is July 1st to June 30th.
So when you say next year, you mean after July 1st of next year?
So, for example, I know that it would be advantageous for us to have bleachers behind the backstop and home plays. And that's something I would certainly recommend to the board. Now, whether or not there's money in our budget right now to do that, or we have to wait until July 1st to do that, it would be something I would be recommending. I know that it would be helpful to have some bleachers perhaps at what you call the 50-yard line, if you will, on the new field in the outfield, the multi-purpose field. So these are things that certainly we're aware of and are on our radar. If not the board's radar yet, they'll get there. But whether or not we can have them in place this fall or next spring, or we're going to have to wait for after July 1st, is something that we don't know right now.
And it's more coming here in support of the athletic department. Again, when it winds up on a wish list, it's not necessarily the number one item on the wish list, but when a wish list includes a set of bleachers and it's coming to an organization who tries to fund as many programs and items in the school, plus we got scholarships, it's very difficult for us to even attempt to try to help out with an item that is that large.
But we understand that, and that's not our expectation. So,
And I know that too, that the athletic department is going to be pushing for, now that we do have this facility, and I said the same thing at the Mustang meeting, the last Mustang Association meeting, is that having a number of children who went through the high school and are playing sports there, we definitely have the best facilities. And maybe northern New Jersey, not just Lawrence County, when you add up all the things that we've done in the last 3 years. I also want to caution you, and the other reason why I was here is, as a past NBSA president, and having to deal with shattered windows and cars having to hit their brakes on Portland Road, I think it would be in your best interest to extend the safety netting from the outfield to the backstop, because the area that you left open is the area where the balls go out the most. And I know you probably don't have the funds, and you didn't want to use public funds this year, but you should really seriously consider closing off the rest of that area so that the balls do not make it to the parking area on Horseneck or onto the road.